We really appreciate all of you guys. You're going to stay where you are, and we're going to now turn it to our audience to see if there's a lot of great things said. I'm sure you guys have questions. I will run around with the mic. Yes. We have plenty of time, so we're going to make this a great, robust discussion.
Hello, thank you. Tanya Key from Preston City Schools. And so I have a question for the educators. Mr. Atwood specifically helped us a lot, a mentor at our school. What are some of the biggest barriers you see in the work that you're doing with Workforce at your school?
Thanks, Tanya. And I'm going to let some of the other educators answer this. I'm sure they're itching to have that conversation as well. Like I mentioned earlier, I strongly believe in the power of pre-apprenticeships. And I love the fact that I get the opportunity to say this here with everybody together, because this does not happen enough. For the longest time, education has been in its own silo, especially traditional schools. I can't, and I'm sure private schools, very much so. We've been kind of doing our own thing. Bringing all the players to the table is absolutely huge, and there's still a lot of communication and work that needs to be done to make this process smooth. The application process sometimes is daunting, not only for employers, but also for schools. There's funding things that we need to work on, in the education realm. There's transportation issues that our students, have to fight to get to some of these opportunities. But we are so blessed here in this Southwest Ohio region. I just want to make sure I state this, because we have great intermediaries like AMIP and the Health Collaborative, and just a lot of focus in this area. And our ESC, which has created a workforce development arm, we have a lot of pieces here. We just need to connect them. So we need to have more convenings of state representatives. Holly and Matt, you guys have been great in 2 different districts when I've been trying to get our pre-apprenticeships. We just don't need enough. We need to get together and talk more. Employers, meeting with you and using the intermediaries to work with us, it would be absolutely amazing to get this work going and move forward. And I think we can really make some very impressive workforce development opportunities here.
A piece that I'll add to that, and I'll echo what Mark said, I firmly believe there is no better preparation in career readiness than work-based learning experience. In Southwest, we have kind of strayed away a little bit from pre-apprenticeship because probably our largest program in the high school that really requires the most work-based learning experiences is our advanced manufacturing program. And the biggest hurdle that we're having is that the facilities, especially those that are in our community, and we're in Harrison, Ohio, so it's kind of disconnected a little bit from the rest of the city. If students don't drive themselves, and as we all know, there is a shortage of teenage drivers right now. For some reason, they're just not wanting to get their driver's licenses. But our biggest issue is that our employers are not taking students until they're 18 years old or a high school graduate. So that kind of blows the pre-apprenticeship idea out of the water. So what we've been working around is actually more internships and work-based learning opportunities. We have had experience with pre-apprenticeships, but they've been in Indiana, not in Ohio.
Thank you so much.
I would like to elaborate on that. I'm Dave Fox from Butler Tech, Coleraine High School. And Josh helped make us a certified program. And I still have a hard time with this. People call up and say, how old are these kids? But they're not going to be insured if they're 16, 17. But in the Ohio labor law, if you're our certified program, thanks to Josh and a lot of other people that helped us do that, you are insured with the, you can be 16, 17, 18 and run the heavy equipment. So, but a company called Hubble, I don't know, Fairfield, their base is out of South Carolina, so they say they won't honor that. So we need help passing this on somehow, so we got to turn to our lieutenant governor and help us with this. So, but people, it's clearly written in the Ohio labor laws, and I send them that law, I highlight the law, and they say, well, we won't do it. Okay, I don't know what else to say to them.
Dave, let me just add to that. I looked it up because, thank you, I looked it up because there is the law, and here's the name of it. It is the Ohio Manufacturing Mentorship Program. And that law specifically, and this is from the attorney that supports the AMIP group, 16 and 17-year-olds can engage in a manufacturing occupation, including the transportation of materials into new products and assembly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, I'm an HR professional. Don't let your HR professional be your barrier. You can hire these kids into those programs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our Department of Commerce oversees that law, and I think that was that's been over 5 years ago that passed the General Assembly. So it's legal in Ohio as long as they have a mentor present. The end of the future.
It's a really good program.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question on that? How can we get that information more clearly communicated to the employers? We know about that. We know about that program. And when we mention it to the employers, we get the yeah, but. And I don't know if it's a workman's comp issue with insurance or what it is, but those are hurdles that if we get no, what else are we supposed to do?
So Corinne, that's a great point. AMIP is committed to having our attorney do this presentation every year because it's just a barrier and it needs to not be a barrier because the state has made it not a barrier, simply, and we need to spread the word. So.
Yeah, if I can add in though, I mean, I think there are some complexities around it in terms of the roles, whether the program, it has to go through a certain certifying process and so but to your point, making those really clear to employers, communicating, I think a lot of it is just a communication and awareness issue right now, but there are some complications around it as well. So.
And if you are an employer setting here, join AMIP. That's a good place to learn some of that stuff here in this area right here. Or come to United Way, or go to Easter Seals, or go to Mercy Missions. There's just many places that you can go and find this information out that way.
I'm interested in working with people who want to work with the underserved community. I see there's a lot of people from different types of backgrounds here, but there's a whole group of people who have been underserved. And I don't know even from a government standpoint whether or not we're addressing that properly. And then what we do as far as educators, employers, and government to make sure those things are happening. And I see they say there's a lot of nonprofits in the area that's out here. So how are we addressing that particular need that I see there's a big gap, a big hole that needs to be filled? Thank you.
Thank you, great question.
I was gonna say, at least in Indiana, we have the Indiana plan, in both northern Indiana, in the Gary Hammond area, and in Indianapolis, which is our office helps fund it. It is a 2 or 3 week, right now. They were doing the NCCR core, but I know they've moved on some different, and it is primarily for the trades, but there are probably 6 or 7 different large union and non-union based trades, registered apprenticeships that work with that group.
If I can jump in real quick on that question, because I appreciate that question. When I talk about the transformative power of this program, I'm speaking directly to that. When you engage K-12 education, that's the one entity that does serve every student. And when you engage us, we really want to help those individuals. And the most powerful stories I can think of has to do with students that were struggling, that they had a pathway out of poverty because of programs like this. So I think this in itself does serve the underserved population in many great ways.
Check, 2. Hey, my name is Dusty Bryant with the Urban League of Greater Southwestern Ohio. And to speak to your question, 1 mile up the road, we are facilitating a pre-apprenticeship program in the building and construction trades that aims to increase representation of Black people, women, underserved communities, and returning citizens. So there are efforts, not necessarily high school related. I know the conversation has been predominantly related to secondary school, but the numbers are staggering. Nationally, Black people and women represent 8% of the construction trades, while the construction trades represent 48% of the entire workforce in this country. Locally, Black people represent 26% of the population of Cincinnati, yet represent 4% of the building trades. So there are efforts. We partnered with North America's building trade unions, their nonprofit trades futures, as well as our local Cincinnati Building and Construction Trades Council, to help mitigate that and bring more opportunity to underserved communities. My question for the state, in our efforts, we received 205 applications for a total of 35 seats. Beginning our second class next Monday, we graduate with our first pre-apprenticeship class last month. So we had 92% graduation rate. But my question to the state, and out of those 205 applications we received, half of the applicants had a driver's license. I know when I was in school, and I'm sure many people in the room today, when they were in high school, took driver's education. It was awful. And I wondered if the state is making any efforts, the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce, to address that major barrier.
Yeah, absolutely. Transportation is one of the 3 primary social barriers to workforce that our Office of Workforce Transformation team has identified. The other 2 being housing and childcare. So actively working on that. There are state resources currently available, and in fact, the governor just announced last week that the second round of driver education funding was announced in Ohio. So I don't have the numbers with me off the top of my head, but there's designated funding specifically for teen driving education, and because we've identified that as an issue. So the second round of funding, I think there'll be more to come as well, because we're prioritizing that. And we've also funded local transportation service organizations to facilitate transportation options across the state regionally. And so that first round of funding was announced in February, and I think there'll be more to come on that front as well in Ohio.
My question is for the employers. My program started out, and it's going to go back to your question. I go over to Woodward High School and work with them over there. And one of the biggest differences in my program was the employers. I'm looking around this room, all these employers that just pop into my class. When those kids see that somebody actually wants them, it makes a huge difference. And are you guys popping in high schools that they won't turn you away? Trust me, if you say, hey, I'm here to see this program and I'd like to hire some kids, I mean, that makes the biggest difference. My advisory board's 50 companies strong, and these kids had 10 job offers apiece. It's just outrageous. But I think the employers made the biggest difference when it came to that stuff. So please answer that.
That's great. Okay, guys, we have one more question, and then we're going to move on. Thank you.
My name's Amy Schinkel, and I work at Mercy Neighborhood Ministries here in Cincinnati. We're a human service nonprofit organization focused on workforce development with a focus on healthcare. So I am curious, I appreciate all the conversation around other trades, but I haven't heard about healthcare. So I'm just curious to know from anyone on the panel, educators, our government officials, to think about or to talk about what opportunities, apprenticeship opportunities are there in healthcare that you have seen or would recommend, because that's where our training lies.
Thank you so much.
That might be a question here for Holly. Holly, you want to answer that one?
Go ahead, guys.
So I'll address that. We do not pre-apprentice in healthcare simply because, for instance, if students are interested in going into nursing and they do the STNA, it is a 12-point credential, just like a pre-apprenticeship. And so we partner with, we have 2 services in our community, 2 nursing home services that do training for STNA. And so we don't offer, we have a biomedical science program, which of course leads to a lot of nursing candidates, but it's an external program that they train on site, and students work to get their STNA, and then they have a work agreement where they'll spend 6 months or so working for that nursing home facility. So that's the reason why Southwest does not do any pre-apprenticeship for healthcare.
Deer Park does have a pre-apprenticeship for healthcare. We offer sports medicine courses in our building. And then we had some students do a preceptorship at Children's Hospital and do routine job shadows Our issue that we're running into is the 18 issue again. We had a student that graduated early, was onboarded into Mercy Health Program apprenticeship, and he spent 2 days there, and then they said, oh, you're not 18 yet, and just cut him loose. So now we have a student hanging out there that really wanted to pursue this, and there was a barrier. Luckily, our Great Oaks campus just had a grant to allow students to earn their STNA while they're still in high school, so he did get accepted in that, so he has about a week left.
I'll just add that the Health Collaborative does have a registered pre-apprenticeship program, and they would be really looking forward to connecting with employers to be able to move that. And I want to thank, again, the state of Ohio for running the preceptorship program. It's been outstanding for our students.
Yeah, that's great. I was going to mention Health Collaborative as well, Mark. So we fund industry sector partnerships, another grant program that we have. AMIP is for the manufacturing industry. Not every ISP, industry sector partner, has to be industry specific, but the Health Collaborative is that healthcare industry sector partner for us, and we fund them and support their apprenticeship program.
I'll add in, from a college standpoint, we just stand ready. We had lessons learned that we came out of the blocks trying to do health science program, but it was led by the college, it wasn't led by industry. And so if we could flip that model, is that we will support any hospital or organization that says we want to do a registered apprenticeship with this. Can you help us manage it? And then can we co-recruit? And then we just want to be the experts of providing the best healthcare possible. So we just stand ready, but we have our lessons learned that we'll just wait for who's ever ready to go on that journey.
As far as pre-apprenticeships go and the ability to incorporate them straight out of a high school environment, may encounter a couple of problems or challenges of probably more appropriately. One, being an age limit to participate in that career field. Secondarily, there could be educational attainment limit, meaning you may have to have a degree or a certain number of classes to get internships, things like that, into that career field. It's important to know that, of course, when we talk healthcare, we automatically think it's a medical profession that we're trying to fill. The healthcare industry itself it's a microcosm of the greater employment spectrum. There are maintenance folks, there are HVAC folks, there are culinary folks, there are IT folks. There's a whole bunch of different occupations which we can also look at filling in the healthcare sector. It may not necessarily be a physician, because you can't necessarily jump out of high school right to a doctor's role. Similarly, there are great stepping stones throughout the nursing sector or the nursing piece of that, because we have everything from patient care technicians to STNAs, which can lead up to a registered apprenticeship in RN. So it may take a bit of progression to get someone from a high school pre-apprenticeship into a patient care role, but it's good to notice, am I going to be putting someone into an occupation where they're going to have a 2 to 3 year break until they get the education and age needed to actually do that in a registered apprenticeship. But there's a lot of different other players, occupations within healthcare which we can address through pre-apprenticeship, and that would be great for high schoolers and minors to participate in.
But I appreciate what you said about non-patient care roles. We have a partnership with Mercy Health, preparing individuals for frontline positions in non-patient care roles specifically, who are looking to grow a career in a hospital system, in their hospital system. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I just want to add that, I think that Apprentice Ohio, we have figured out the traditional apprenticeships. It's the non-traditional that we are working with. And I do want to commend Mark, Mindy, Corinne for just being patient with us, because I think that we have figured out CTEs. We know how to do that. It's doing the high school in a non-traditional way that we don't know those rules. So, we kind of all are navigating this together. So the healthcare, great question, great conversation. Let's come together and figure it out. So I think
that's a great segue. Thank you guys so much. So we thank you, our panel. You were awesome. Let's give them a hand. So next we're going to move on to a bit of a best practice that I think would be a great way to sort of wrap this up as well. We've got a pre-apprenticeship link to register an apprenticeship, and we have two specific folks we invited to talk about this. Josh Dawns, who is the Toolmaker and Find Tool Group, and David Fox, who I think most of you probably know is the instructor of Butler Tech Grade High School Machinist Program. We also have wonderful apprentices here. Thank you guys so much for being here. First and foremost, yes, I know if you guys can if you guys want, you can stay here. Can you everybody see them if they're here? Up to you, but I feel like they're all together so they can just, hang out. So first I wanted to ask David, can you talk a little bit about how you created your high school machinist program? What has made it successful? What are some of the biggest challenges that you came across?
Well, first of all, I took over 2002, the machine shop program. We had a 1980s machine shop in 2002. So what we needed to do is we needed to move in with technology, and in our field, advanced manufacturing, it is expensive. So we had to form a huge business advisory. When I started there, we had an advisory. There were probably 6 people. There could have been more with the old teacher and they left, but we started to form a gigantic advisory just by beating doors down, going to old clients that used to help us, and formed this one giant meeting where we had everybody come in. And I look around this room and I see Jen there. I just told her today that we were sitting there, and I see Amy sitting there, and it kind of came to a silent moment where everybody said, "What do you need?" And then finally Jen spoke up and said, "Here, I'm throwing up this amount of money." And then it got the ball rolling, and everybody started throwing up money because we had to get that technology. And then once we got the technology, we started getting the students in there. And then once we got the students, we needed the business people to start coming in and start hiring these students. And as of right now, we have probably 50 advisory members. We just had our open house the other day, and we had 150 people in there, 50 businesses, offered over 100 jobs to 25 kids, probably more than that because each kid got 10 job offers. But that's what we kind of started out doing, and it's just basically beating doors down. And the employers, I love that question that I asked them. I'm like, guys, you got to get in there. I go to Woodward High School. There's nobody over there beating them doors down. There's kids in there that need jobs, and they got that advanced manufacturing. They're starting their program right now, working with the teacher. There's an untapped resource there, but we got to get the employees. Those kids don't feel like anybody wants them. They got to go in there and say, "Hey, I want to employ you kids." And once they see that class will start filling up, and the employers will be happy with the people they're going to start getting. So that's kind of, in a 20-year period now, I feel like we got a really, really good, successful program. And it's not because of me. I look around this room, and these students, I got a great support system in every aspect. I got administrators support me, business partners that support me, and I hope the kids support me, but I got great kids too, so I can't argue that. So, but I was gonna say, I'll turn it over to Josh.
Yeah, so I've been going to Fox's class, to Coleraine, Butler Tech, been visiting the Oaks, been recruiting out there for a while, but it came to, HR came down and said that we're not allowed to hire 16, 17-year-old students or co-op there. So we came in the law for the pre-apprenticeship program, and we were already registered apprenticeship program, so we sponsored Butler Tech, and they were on board. We had Daryl, which you guys know Daryl very well. Daryl was awesome. Everybody wants to say that it's a hard process. It's really not, because Daryl does all the work. I mean, all you do is just feed. And Matt, I've talked to Matt before too, when he was up in Dayton doing the floor. It's you guys have the information. It's just provided to the Department of Labor, and you have representatives there to do the work. You don't. I'm a tool maker. I'm not an administrative person, so I just handed them what I had, and they put it together. It's a 40-page standard document that I've had to redo twice now with the apprenticeship program, and then Dave doing the pre-apprenticeship program. It was the same process. It's just they're there to help you out. So if the big takeaway that you have here is that everybody thinks it's a daunting task. It's really not. There's people there set up to help you out and walk you through the process. So yeah, I'm trying to think what else. I mean that's really it. I mean it's not as
hard as people make it out to be. So we'd love to hear from you guys. You can use that mic or this big one. whatever you'd like, but we've got actually 3 apprentices who are actually going through the program. And please introduce yourselves and then just let everybody know what got you into the apprenticeship, what you're getting out of it, how your, kind of process has gone, and, what are your career aspirations, and how do you think that, being in the apprenticeship and the pre-apprenticeship will help?
So I first discovered the program through honestly just word of mouth through the school. And I didn't know what it was until I joined it. I was like, I don't know what machining is. But when I discovered what it actually was, I was actually really interested. And to find that there's so many great opportunities through this, I don't know, I have a job through it now, and it's that's pretty cool. And my job there offers me free college, so
Win-win.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Thank you so much.
So actually, I was actually put in the class randomly, but it's fine. I was in the intro class freshman year. We just learned micrometers, we built blocks, but I was curious to learn more and what to do. So junior year, I had to sign up for the class. Actually 2 days before, I completely forgot to sign up. He told me to sign up, so
That's a good
yeah, I appreciate it. And then now, I continue learning every time. Every day I'm there. From reading prints to making parts, it's like a new day every day. I don't know.
Pretty much same as him. I was put into it randomly. I was also in the intro. And after the intro, same as him, I was really interested in, how the overall machining world worked and everything. And then in sophomore year, I signed up for the actual program, and when I got in, I don't know how to explain it, but when I was in my freshman class, I didn't know what I wanted to do, as a career, but when I got through freshman year and realized I could go into the actual program, I realized that machining is what I wanted to do as, a career, and the program at our school really helped out with that. So.
That's great.
So really proud of all of them. And now I got a question for Corinne or the state level. Are you guys struggling finding teachers? Because I was going to ask about the education. I went 20 years ago to 2.5 years of college of education. I was already making more money than the school was going to pay me. And then you say, hey, you got to go back and get an education. Is there anything we can do to streamline that? Because I called around trying to find a teacher not too long ago. And everybody, I said, hey, we're going to start you out at $70,000 and you get 3 months off a year. And they're like, dude, I'm not taking a $30,000 pay cut and going to college. So is there anything that you guys can do about that?
I can't do anything about that, but if any of you know a welding instructor, we've been looking for one for 2 years.
Yeah.
And Dave, exactly what you said, several folks have mentioned, hey, I know so-and-so who's retired, but to get that CTE certification to be able to teach a class, there's a lot of hoops for them to jump through. And especially, this past year with the way that DEW renamed electives and with the properly certified who can teach those classes, it's become incredibly challenging. So if any of you know welding instructors, see me afterwards. If you still need one, I have kids who are waiting for that
Well,
course.
I can tell you, all these kids sitting at this table, before they graduate, they'll make more than a first-year teacher.
Because we want to tell you guys a little bit about what the federal government can do to support apprenticeship. James is just going to talk a little bit about who we are as an intermediary, what our job is, and what supports we have for all the amazing work that you guys are doing. Welcome, James.
Thank you. Well, I just want to congratulate everybody. I mean, I really appreciate everybody showing up today. Congratulations to the young group here. You all are going to make crazy money, I will say that. I live down in Atlanta. Manufacturing is very big in the state of Georgia. I'm not trying to steer your students to come down south, but think about the South because we have a lot of, our governor has put a lot of money behind manufacturing and advanced manufacturing. So I will say to you, I was a former teacher, it's okay to leave. You can always come back to Cincinnati, but venture out, right? Because so Right. Well, I'm just saying, but I don't want to steal them, but what I'm saying is sometimes students, all right, as an educator, sometimes students, we're closed-minded, right? We don't want to, we just want to stay home. We don't want to leave. But, I know we need to keep the revenue in the state of Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky, so I'll shut up on that. What are we? We are an extension of the U.S. Department of Labor. We are one of 20 intermediaries working under this program with the U.S. Department of Labor. And these are the different sectors that we offer, we are part of supply chain automation, but there are about 20 different sectors that the intermediaries are a part of. And so there are many opportunities for individuals across the United States in these different sectors. We're just one supply chain. As I always say, supply chain is basically moving anything from point A to point B. Anything that moves, anything that benefits individuals, that's the supply chain sector. If you would go to the next slide, please. All right, so these are some of the opportunities that we can help you with as far as the supply chain workforce hub, automation workforce hub. So we have a very diverse team of individuals. As Dina did a great job today, I have my colleague Dorinda Myers here, Kathy Metcalf, and Sheldon Strickland is a part of this hub. And so what we can do is provide opportunities for you to register your program, help you develop your RAPs. And so these are just some of the things we're doing, conducting education and outreach about benefits of RAPs and early in supply chain automation, supply and support the expansion of registered apprenticeship. We offer DEIA training in the field of apprenticeship. We have developed webinars on our website. So anything that we can do to help you to set up a program, we've done a lot of great things here in the state of Ohio to set up programs. So please reach out to Kathy Metcalf or Brandy Porter. They can help you to set this up. Go on to the next slide, please. All right, this is the biggie here. I have money to give away, okay? That's the big thing. So as an intermediary, after we develop your program and get you registered, we can provide $1,000 per apprentice up to a maximum of $30,000. We are accepting applications. If you have a program that you're starting to develop and you need some help with that, Kathy and Brandy can help you push that forward. And then once you get registered here in the state of Ohio, Indiana, or Kentucky, you can get an MOU with us, with MSG. And then we will be able to, once you register your program, we will be able to give you $1,000 per apprentice for a maximum of $30,000. I will say the money is there. It goes fast. I have about $400,000 to give away between now and December 15th. So please get with Kathy and Brandy and they can help you with that. Again, this is our website. Well, that's fine. I was just going to say application deadline January 15th to the 31st. Anything, this money can be used for things, but you can't use it for wages, okay? Classroom instruction, buying equipment, trainer opportunities, training equipment for apprentices, helping your students to buy the tools that they may need. If you go to the last slide, please. Right. All right. So for more information, go to scworkforcehub.com. We ask you to subscribe to our newsletter too, because like this event will be highlighted on our newsletter. So the great things that we're doing, the great things DOL is doing, we focus on our apprentices. We put it on our social media as well as in our monthly newsletter. But please feel free to engage.
Yes.
Is the money in the program that you're talking about just for supply chain?
So that's a great question. Supply chain, as James said, is huge, right? We cover so many. There's so much overlap with advanced manufacturing, building trades. So yes, but every intermediary has a fund that's similar. They're all set up a little bit differently. But our particular supply chain workforce hub, we deal specifically with those occupations. Now, there's tons of them included. So if there's a question, does it fit, does it not, you can ask us. But for the most part, if it's advanced manufacturing, building trades, anything that sort of touches supply chain in any way, absolutely yes. But healthcare, like you said, like there's a healthcare intermediary, there's cellular, there's IT, cybersecurity. Like I said, ECE is now, early childhood has been a huge problem because if there's no childcare, women aren't going to be employed in your plant. So they're really listening and learning and hopefully, providing the support that you guys need. So So I think Kathy, I think we're at the end of our agenda.